if you were watching the market today, you saw a market that pretty well rose the early part of the morning and then topped out and then started selling, and then the selling picked up momentum and ended up near the lows of the day. And you can look at today's market, and when I say market, I'm talking about the S&P, the Dow, the Nasdaq. You can look at today's market and you can say, wow, is this the start of something big, or is this a big buying opportunity? And so I think that today, if you look at it, is you stand back and look at it, and you put things in perspective, you see that the market was very weak into the close, and then at the close, it seemed like that there was some bottom fishing going on there towards the last 15 or 20 minutes of trading. So tomorrow, and just point this out, tomorrow we have, I think, some big banks reporting, and that's probably overhanging the market a little bit, but I believe the ultimate outcome of this sell-off will be, we'll look back on it 2 weeks down the road and remember how low the S&P was and say, wow, maybe I wasn't thinking the right way, because when I was looking at the market, I was thinking it's going a lot lower, and instead it went up. So tonight I'm going to introduce a technique to you and share with you that sort of helps you map out the near-term direction. And it's pretty simple math, but it's a rule that I teach my students, and it's one that I think will really help you throughout the trading day. So remind me if I don't have a slide that gets to it, just to ask me about it, and I'll be glad to show it to you. Now, DTI. We talk about risk all the time, and risk is something that I think a lot of people have problems with. In other words, they say, "Oh yeah, I can take risk," and then when risk happens, meaning you get losses, you start panicking and taking those losses and getting out. And so what I do, and I teach people to use a $300 risk profile. And what does that mean? That means if I buy a $100 stock, I will risk to $97. If I buy a $5 option, I'll risk to $2. If I buy a E-mini futures, how many points will I risk? Exactly, $300. And so what I have found, if I can get you to buy into the theory, you don't want to risk more than $300 on any trade, whether it's a futures, options, or stock, what you're going to find happening is that you're giving your analysis a chance to work. And that's very important when it comes to trading, to give your analysis a chance to work, because everybody's different. Now, if you fill out one of these surveys, we'll send you a video. This 7-11 rule, which is what I'm going to teach you a little bit about tonight. It goes into more detail, but I think this rule here will help you in tonight's trading, tomorrow's trading, and everything. It's a simple rule, and I'm the only one that teaches it. Only place you're ever going to hear about it. And so what we did, we mapped it out over a video. And I think while you're looking at that, I'll show you where we are right now regarding the NASDAQ. So I'm going to let me see if I can take control of the desktop, and I'll display my software. And then I'll show this to you. Okay, perfect. Okay. Now this is our software that I trade off of and look at to make my analysis. Let's find the NASDAQ here, and let's find the low. Everybody see this low here at 3470? 3470. Everybody see that low? Okay, so it's a simple addition. You add 11 points to 3470, and it puts it at 3481. And for me, that turns the market where I'd play it to the long side. And in fact, I am actually long the S&P right now at 81 on the NASDAQ. Okay, so you had 11 points there. And then you come over and with the mini, if you see 1823.75 there, and you add 7 points there, be 1830, so about right there. And we call this the 7-11 rule. So if we get above 1830, then we got a full-fledged long, and I'll buy more E-minis. Right now I'm probing the NASDAQ, but the E-mini needs to go above that to give that buy signal there. And that's a trade that I might do later on tonight. So more details about this trade or about this rule is found in that 2-hour video. Have you had time to fill out the survey? It only takes a second, and I'll move on when you tell me you got it filled out. Why don't you do it that way? So right now I'm probing the NASDAQ long at 8100. I'm long, and I'm waiting for confirmation with the E-mini. This is a 7-11 rule, and it works both ways. Down versus up. Okay. So I want to show you something before I leave my roadmap and get into the presentation. Need a few more minutes? Okay. All right, let me go over here, and let's go map out something on the E-mini. Spread that out a little bit. If you look at the high of the day, 1867, you say -7, which is 1860. All my subscribers knew today that the market was getting very weak here, right across this line right here. Look what happened. Pretty neat rule, isn't it? Everybody see that on the days market? Can you hear me okay? All right, anyway. And that 2-hour tape would get into more details about all the stuff that goes into that. But let me check something real quick. Yeah, Brian, to get a further explanation, just go and fill. Okay, all right, the surveys are coming in, so I'll go on, copy that link. I need to get moving here. Okay, let me summarize. I am long the NASDAQ right now at 8,100. Okay. Okay. And I've got a stop in for $300 on that trade. How many points would that be on the NASDAQ? How many points would my stop be? What did I tell you the risk would be? 15 points, right? Okay. And that's how I set up tonight's trade. All right, let's keep going. All right, overview tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about Nadex. I don't know if you're familiar at all with Nadex, but Nadex is a binary option exchange. We use Nadex a lot to test out our analysis for the week. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the art of tape reading. And then the sisterhood, how to evaluate tape reading to determine what the markets are going to do. And then we have a Sunday planning session. I'll tell you a little bit about that. And I think there's an invitation if you want to come and watch us kick off the week on Sunday night. All right, a little bit about my background. I graduated from the University of Georgia, Oklahoma City Law School. I served as an officer in the United States Air Force, former vice president of Smith Barney years ago when they were a private company. I'm a current member of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and I'm the founder and CEO of DTI, Diversified Trading Institute. Books that I've written: Winning the Day Trading Game, talks about how I got started, some of the trials and tribulations of trading, and some of the issues you face trying to do this game of trading, and some of the ways I overcame those issues I faced. Markets Never Sleep is about the 24-hour clock. It gets into the the origins and why it's important to know that there's 4 time segments in the world: Asia, Europe, U.S., and U.S. late. Also, Trade to Win. It's where we put everything together, including the emotions, come up with checklists to do trade different instruments, and it's a real good summary type book to show you some of the important things that come about. Other books I recommend: Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, How to Trade in Stocks by Richard Smitten, about Jesse Livermore. You'll find chapter 6 in this book is the best chapter, in my opinion, ever written about how to trade stocks. Stock Trader's Almanac, I use it all the time. And of course, the 21 Irrefutable Truths of Trading by John Hayden. Who's DTI? Been around a while. We try to, tell you what we're going to do and then do what we tell you. Simple philosophy of business, that's the way we operate. The headquarters that we have is founded in 1996. The company was founded in 1996, and that building was built in 2001. And I find it very interesting that, we have a lot of people that come to Mobile to get what I call serious training on how to trade the markets. We offer classes and curriculums and all different facets of futures, options, and stocks. Nadex. Who's heard of Nadex before? Who's heard of Nadex before? No, it's actually Nadex is an exchange. It's located in Chicago. The people that run it are very good people, and it is very, very, very good to test out your analysis. Uh, the nice thing about binary options are basically just take a sentence like, I think gold's going to be over 1,300, and then you can go place your bet on whether you think gold is going to be over 1,300 by a certain date. And if it is over 1,300, then you get to keep the money. And so they also have spreads, bulls and bear spreads, but the first part of it is binary options, and I would say start there. What I like about Nadex, analysis on the market, okay, and but they never test it out in the market. They always do this hypothetical stuff. And for me to learn how to trade and become a trader, I had to get in there and do real trading. And I think this is a good way, especially for somebody that's trying to see how good their analysis is. And then you can apply that once you get a test, actually being in the real market, because you are in the real market, and you find out how good you really are at analyzing the market. And then you get confidence, and with confidence comes profits. North American Derivatives Exchange is what it stands for. It's registered with the CFTC. They're designed to let everyone, avoid that biggest thing about, biggest fear about futures is blowing up your account and ending up owing money. In Nadex, it's a low cost of entry, limited risk, and it's really, I think the big value is you're actually in the game when you play it. Like, for example, if you think the market's going up or down from here, you can play that, okay? But it's really good. Doesn't cost very much. There's no membership fee. It only takes $100 to open an account. It's $90, 90 cents per side is all you pay, and it's capped at $9 per order. So if you do 10 orders, that's what it's capped at. Market spikes. If you would have been long the market today and not had a stop in, you would have got killed. In Nadex, you'd have lost 30 or 40 bucks on your binary option. Yeah, overseas residents cannot open a Nadex account unless you have an LLC, and there's a way of doing that if our company can, guide you in the right direction there. Trades all kinds of markets, trades the European DAX, trades the metals markets, trades the grains markets, trades the index markets, and it gives you a chance to really apply your skills. Like if you heard something you wanted to try, okay, and you said, okay, let me put some real money on the market. Maybe you can take $100 and see how good the strategy is before you put real money on it. That's another benefit. Stock indexes, it's easy to take a position on the stock indexes, teaches you about those, and pretty much gives you the experience when you trade. And I just can't, how many people paper trade? Let me ask that question. How many people are paper trade and always make money, and then they go get a real account and blow it up? I mean, I did that. I'm sure you've done that too, right? Is because what happens is once you put real money, okay, you put real money on the line, you got to be right or your account balance goes to zero, right? And so with Nadex, you can try that out. You can do Forex and currencies if you want to, commodities, corn, all of it, oil. You can trade. Hey, this is another way of using Nadex. Let's say, has everybody heard of the unemployment report comes out the first Friday of every month? Okay. Well, with Nadex, you can play that report and have limited risk, and you get pretty good at analyzing that news. This is what a binary option is. It's simple, short-term contracts, limited risk. It's a yes or no proposition. You can be long or short, and it's really priced for the retail player. $100 is a contract. Now this is where you can take a estimated range, and I've seen people take $5 here and turn it into $300 if they know what they're doing on a market trend. Let's say that the market right now, let's just talk hypothetically. Let's say the market right now rises 3% from now, 3% up, which means it goes back, gains everything it lost today, and goes up another 1%. You can take a $5 bet on Nadex and make around $400 or $500 on that move. What do you lose? The $4 or $5 if you're wrong. Sort of like this here, try to buy near the floor, or you think it's the floor, and take a shot on the spread. And what they have, one thing about it, if you go to their website, they have a whole bunch of videos on each of these strategies. I'm just trying to give you an overview, uh, to get you going. Yeah, that's true, RB. But on a spread, it's based on where you think it's going to be in that range, and if you can buy at the low end of the range, you can really leverage yourself. Why I love Nadex? Well, the reason I love Nadex, I'm able to take people like you that maybe come Sunday night and you hear me say, hey, I think gold's going higher, and show you with Nadex without you actually being into a gold contract or gold futures contract. You can see it, and it really resonates with you. When you bet $30 and make 70, you'll start loving Nadex too. I think it's real good for weekly trends because they have weekly binaries as well as weekly spreads. And so when you visit their site, just look at some of the different opportunities you have for laying out your trading. Now, let's get back to the weekly and monthly open for the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. Look at where the E-mini opened a month at. Everybody see that 1864? That 1864 date? That's where we opened the month at. Where we opened the week at 1861. Tonight, the E-mini is currently about 1827 even. 1827. So I got a calculator. Take 1% of 1864. What's 1% of 1864? Roughly 18.6, right? 2% is what? 2 times that? What's 37 if you subtract 1864 and subtract 37? What do you get? 1827. Where's the S&P trading right now? Markets have a tendency to go to these percentages, 1%, 2%. We're at 2% right now. That's why there's a good chance that this NASDAQ that I buy tonight is going to make me money. Support's going to step in at this 2% level. But we have bands that we've created that give us these bands, 1%, 2%, 3%. Now, if it goes over about 3.5% for the month, generally you do have a big down month in front of you. It's hard to recover from 3.5% down. You might remember that. All right, look at probabilities for the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ from the Stock Traders Almanac. Monday and Tuesday Monday was real weak, okay? Tuesday was weak starting off reversed. Wednesday was strong. Remember the Fed minutes? Thursday today, this is how you use this. Thursday today was supposed to be a real strong day. And it was strong up through about 9:30 to 10 o'clock this morning and then reversed. But here's what you got to learn. If you ever see one of these 60+% days, okay, if you ever see one of these 60+% days and you see it's not going to be an up day, and you could have recognized this at what price, come back over to my desktop, below 1860, see that? Below 1860. See when it broke there using the 7-Eleven rule? You get in recognition, hey, I've got a day that might not be up. Then you get what I call the slingshot effect, and that's why I don't put too much into the night sell-off, if that makes sense. Okay? You got a slingshot effect that came in here. These probabilities come out over the last 21 years, pretty good numbers. to do your planning off of. All right, here's a Nadex trade that I did at the first of the week. I bought the Nadex weekly binary forecasting. No, this is not the one I did, Adam. I did the gold trade. This was last week. I made money on this one, but the one I did on gold said gold was going to be over 1,300. Okay, here it is right here. You got the text message right. Buying the Nadex weekly forecasting gold will close above 1301.50. I paid 47 bucks. Right now, that option's trading 96. Okay, this is on Nadex. How much money is that? We put this on Monday. How much money is that per contract? Paid 46, worth 47, worth 96 right now. Yeah, that's how Nadex works. I had one guy that did 5 contracts of this. He really had a field day, but I just did one because I like to do the weekly analysis, but I thought gold would go higher. Where's gold trading tonight? Anybody know? Go look at it. Yeah, and that's a real trade. That's not paper money. That's a real trade. That's the value of Nadex. Yeah, here's a guy that did 5 contracts. He made 30 bucks or 150 bucks. He said, thanks for introducing that in the lineup. I also told him to get long crude oil. That went higher, but he didn't do that one. But anyway, nice little email. Anyway, if you want to open a Nadex account and need help doing it, you call it an email, and you can go to www.nadex.com/reference/3T, and he'll get you set up. Okay. Anthony, you have to have an LLC. Okay. You have to have an LLC. All right. Let's get into the art of trading. Tape reading. Colin will be able to explain it to you if you'll send me an email. All right, what is tape reading? Who's heard of tape reading? Out of 100 traders that you've attended, yeah, let me just go back for you, Brian. It'd be easier doing it that way. If you knew of 100 traders that you've been to webinars, okay, let me ask the question. Out of those 100 traders that you've attended webinars, has anybody ever told you about the 7-Eleven rule? Out of those 100 traders, has anybody ever told you about that? Okay, so you walked away with something tonight you didn't know, right? Okay. Everybody got that? Everybody got that link? All right. If you go to 100 webinars, how many people tell you, and this is a question I got for you, how many people tell you their primary source of analysis is tape reading? How many people tell you that if you go to a webinar? They say they're a tape reader. None, right? Okay, now let me ask another question. How many people have you heard that make money in the market? How many people lose money in the market? What's the percentage of people that lose money in the market? You know what the percentage is? 95%. Are you starting to see a trend develop here? There you go. What I think tape reading is. What I think tape reading is a combination of the old-fashioned definition, where you look at a market, you look at the price, you look at time, you look at volume, you look at the movement. When you take that market and put it with other markets. This goes back to the Livermore approach, where you're looking at the different indexes, and here's the indexes I'd look at to evaluate the stock market. I'd look at the E-mini futures. Adam, you still here or you sleeping? I'd look at the E-mini futures. I'd look at the NASDAQ futures. I'd look at the Dow futures. I'd look at the DAX futures. I'd look at the Russell futures. And I'd look at the FTSE futures. Now, if all 5 of those were going higher, then I would feel pretty solid in the trend. Okay? That's what I think tape reading is. Y'all want me to take time and type those? I thought that Adam was still here, but he might have gone. You want me to type those out for you? ES, NQ, YM, DAX, FTSE, and Russell. Those are the indexes I'd look at if I was trying to interpret. Now, if it was gold, and I wanted to know if gold was going higher, I would look at gold. I'd look at silver. And I would look at the euro. I'd look at those 3 if I was trying to determine if gold was going to go higher. If I was going to look at grains and determine if I think grains were going higher, I'd look at wheat. I'd look at corn. And I'd look at soybeans. So you take a group of markets very similar in nature, and you look at the trend of all of them, not in isolation, but together. That's what I think tape reading is. And I'd read the tape and determine. No, I would not. A lot of long-term traders look at the dollar for gold, but if they've been looking at the dollar, they'd been losing money on gold. They'd been thinking they would been thinking that gold was going down, and gold's been going up since the first year, hadn't it, JB? Look at what I'm telling you. Let me just cut to the chase. What I'm telling you is what I use trading real markets. This is not theory. This is the real thing that I look at. Okay. All right. I'm not going to get into the details of the crash of 87. I will tell you that the crash of 87 turned me from a technician to a tape reader. And I've been doing it ever since. And it works in up and down markets. It works in every market I've faced since 1987. I had a guy that worked at the brokerage office that I was at when I got started, okay? And the very first thing, this guy had been around 35 years. Very first thing he did, he said, Tom, you see that tape going across the top? He said, the best advice I can give you after 35 years in the business, this is him talking to me as a newbie on the trading floor. He says, watch the tape. Now, of course, I didn't listen to him, probably the way some of you are not listening to me, but the point is, he was 100% correct, and I could have avoided a lot of pain and suffering if I'd have listened to Chappie. If you look at the computer age that we live in today, you got all these studies, you got all these mathematical computations, but in reality, you're really trying to determine if the market's going up or down. Once you get that figured out, you can make money, correct? Trading is an art, not a science. But they've been trying to make it a science for years. And so you got to learn how the dance is you're watching, and tape reading is the way to do it. Now, if you want to practice tape reading, here's a good way to do it. Let me give you a sample. Who's got Who's got the ability to have time and sales, bring time and sales up? Here's a good exercise for you, okay? You take the E-mini, you take the NASDAQ, you take the Dow, and you put those three side by side and watch the prints go by. And what you'll find is you'll start having numbers that you see, and you'll start seeing the trend. And then once you get that, then you're at the first level of being a tape reader. So just take the time and sales for three markets. Or you take three stocks and do it in similar industries. But it's a good way to practice it and get better at the game of tape reading. You got to have the big picture. Okay, let's talk about that. 2014. What is the big picture for 2014? I would assume my big picture has the Dow somewhere between 10 and 20% higher from the start of the year. S&P maybe 8 to 12%. NASDAQ 15 to 20. That's my big picture for 2014. How's it going to happen? Well, here's what I think. I think that a lot of people are very bearish on the market right now. I think there was a record short position reported, and I think that the shorts are never right, so they've got to jack them out, and I think they're going to jack them out between now and the end of May, and then I think the market will sell off, maybe up to 10%, and then by the end of October at the latest, it'll be known as a historic buying opportunity as we go into 2015. That's what I think. That's my big picture. Now, you can take it. Let me show you something that's sort of unique too. Okay. Keep a trend line of your trading. Let me show you a little thing here. Let's do a game here. Let me do this real quick. If you ever try to figure out what the trend is, bring up a market, start right here on the left side of the chart, and draw a line to where it's currently trading. That's in a downtrend. That's what you saw today. You could have done that earlier in the day. Let's do gold. That'd be fun to look at. Gold. Do the same thing. And draw it to the high. Basically, you start there in the center of the left hand of the chart, just draw it to the high, and it will tell you what trend you should be doing, okay? So these are the kind of things that you learn to keep you on the right side of the market. I said never read a price in isolation. Group these markets together, and then see the trends develop and make sure there's no divergence. If you look at today's market, what kind of divergence did you see in today's sell-off? Did anybody recognize what kind of stocks stayed stable and what kind of stocks actually went up? Huh? Well, here's the stocks that stayed stable. Your oil stocks. That tells you that crude oil is going higher when you see that today. Utility stocks were very firm today. Flight to safety there. Biotech got killed. Biotech affected the NASDAQ. That's what happened. Yeah, REITs were also good. Here's some other indicators you can check. The advanced decline line. It was very interesting today on the NASDAQ. The net difference was about 1,800, and it stayed that way for the last hour. Again, another confirming indicator to my 7-11 rule. You get more of this in the tape. But you will see that if I'm right or not, we'll know pretty quick, in the next few hours before I go to bed tonight, we'll know. And the reason we'll know is because this market should start trending up by 8 o'clock. What time is it right now? 6:48? About another hour and 12 minutes, like a train coming down the railroad track. Here's other indicators we developed to help you. And The T-tick is a 24-hour indicator, very similar like the tick. Who uses the tick in their trading, T-I-C-K, in their day trading or their trading to do during the day? Very good indicator if you know what you're doing. And if you watched it today, it just stayed, it pretty much stayed minus. And then it started flattening out. But the T-tick is a little slower, but works 24 hours. The proprietary indicator we developed at DTI. That's what it looks like on a day. On this particular case, this was yesterday. Plus 792 gives a buy signal, anything greater than 5. And it's just a short-term indicator to help keep you on the right side. The V factor tracks anything you want to track, whether it's stock, futures, or options, and tells you whether they're accumulating or selling, whatever you're into. It does it with a ratio. Significance of time. Time is very important to trading. There's time of the month, usually around the first of the month. There is time of week, time of day. Does anybody know here the most bullish day of the year? Anybody know the most bullish day of the year? If I asked you, Diane, would you know the most bullish day of the year? It's the day after Thanksgiving. For the last 50 years, that's the most bullish day of the year. And so as a trader that's been around 33 years, I know about that day. Now, can you just go in there at 8:30 and buy the market and make money? No. But what you can do, we have a webinar on that day, on that morning, but we live trade it. We always get up early and buy while everybody's still sleeping, and then when they wake up, we sell it to them. It's been a very successful trade we make every year, the day after Thanksgiving. Just letting you know. That's the significance of time. Now, when we look at the global market, right now we're in Asia. The times run from 5 to 3:30. And what I'll be looking for tonight is how the Nikkei market handles today's sell-off, how the Hang Seng market handles today's sell-off. Remember I said by 8 o'clock I'll know whether I'm right or wrong on this trade? Remember me talking about that? So by 8 o'clock tonight, you'll have a good feel for what those Asian markets are doing. And if they're not coming apart, then you'll see a rally. If they are coming apart, you won't. Trust the numbers. The numbers I'd be looking for going into tomorrow is to make sure that we don't go below that NASDAQ 3470 number. It's only 8 points from here, but if you don't go below that number, then chances are you're going to have that short covering rally. And short covering rallies are designed to take whose money? The shorts, right? And therefore, doesn't it make a lot of sense, as bearish as everybody is, that we have that kind of rally? If nothing else, they'll get caught looking at their charts, and the next thing you know, they'll be behind some pretty serious money. Okay? A review. Reading tape is an art, not a science. The market has a unique rhythm. Learn how to move with it. Never read an index price or stock price in isolation. And put all the data into context of what's going on. Trust the indicators, not your preconceived notions. Remember when I showed you today that the S&P at 18 or 1360 turned bearish. You have to believe that as your instruments. And it did turn bearish at 1360. Watch key numbers and time of day when you're reading the tape. The sisterhood. All right, here's the 7 sisters that helps you evaluate the market. If you look at the E-mini, it opened the month at 1864, currently 1827. Okay? So basically right now we need to climb back above 1864 to turn this month positive. That's your target number from here. The Dow, vice versa, 6377. That's what you'd be looking for. The NASDAQ, look at the NASDAQ. Down 103 points from that number. Now that would be a pretty good rally if we could catch that one. The DAX will hold the key. Tomorrow morning, the DAX will hold the key. It's 250 points off the mark. The DAX has to have an update tomorrow for all these scenarios to work, and I'd look at it that way. Gold is trending higher. You can see that by the opening. That's an easy one. Crude is trending higher. That's an easy one. The IR stocks. Here's 5 stocks that I trade during the week. Apple, Amazon, Google, Tesla, Netflix. Notice where Netflix closed, 334. 338 was support, so it broke through support today. We need to watch Netflix tomorrow. With over 200 trading days left in 2014, what's your personal plan to make this year count? If I ask you that question, say we were just talking, having a cup of coffee or Coca-Cola, and I ask you that question, how would you answer it? What's your personal plan to make this year count? You ought to be thinking about that. You know, Napoleon Hill said, without action, desire fizzles. Okay? What are you going to do to take action and make sure your desires do not fizzle? You ought to be thinking about that. I believe a lot of you probably come to webinar after webinar, okay? What I'm basically saying, you'll keep coming to webinar after webinar, but if you want to trade, you got to get on the playing field. Take action. Try to take away one thing. I made it my goal today to share with you the 7-11 rule. Now, you had to take action to get the details, right? You had to fill out a survey. If you filled out the survey, then I will send you 2-hour tape on that, okay? And that will give you the details of the 7-11 rule. I'm telling you, after 33 years of trading, no one else has it. It's an edge against any trader you trade against. I don't care what their experience is. You ought to learn it, watch it, and see it develop. Wouldn't you like to follow the market today, knowing those numbers I gave you? Now you get to see the next part, whether 81 goes up. This is the 7-11 rule. If you look at your last 10 trades, you ought to be able to answer this question. It's like if you were playing baseball. What's your batting average? I'd say, what's your accuracy rate? How accurate are you over your last 10 trades? And then I would say, what was the risk you took making those 10 trades? Did you stay within that $300 parameter I gave you? I've been doing this for 33 years. I told you what it takes to be successful, right? I'll put it up when I finish. There, Adam got it. If you had to identify your biggest weakness in trading, what would you say? Type in your answer there for me. What's your biggest weakness in trading when you think about trading? What's your biggest weakness? Are you always standing on the sidelines? Do you get in the game? Are you overly aggressive? What's your biggest weakness? Just want to break even. You want to play a Seinfeld, huh? You want to do a Seinfeld. SG over trades. I had that problem. Fear. Rick. Let me ask Rick a question. Rick Doror. Can you risk $300? Rick? Can you risk $300? Okay. That's the first step. Build your trades around that $300 risk, okay? Charles, you all over the place? You got to get a plan. You need a plan. You ought to, mimic somebody that's got a good plan. How about your platform? Are you familiar with your platform, and does your platform offer you mobile trading? If it doesn't offer you mobile trading, I wouldn't want to use it. But if it does, you ought to use it. Okay? What value do you place on the education about the market? How many people went to college? How many people had a specialized course they took in their life that paid them? I value education a lot. I think it's the first step in building net worth. I know after 1987, I had to re-educate myself to market, and I did. Over 95% of people lose money in the market. Is that a true or false statement? The question you ought to be asking yourself is, what can you do not to be in the 95%, but what you can do to be in the 5%, right? You're invited Sunday night. You can join me to see the real plan for next week. You can register at this link right here. You're invited to come see me, okay? I'll lay out the week for you. I'll introduce you to our formula of success. I will tell you about our product T-Buzz, which everybody raves on. And I can show you 50 emails where people made money today, but I'm not going to do that tonight because all I'm here to do is to show you, okay, that you got to get a plan, you got to take action, and learn some of these things from people that's been around, experienced, that do this for a living, okay? Now, Yana, do I still have another 20 minutes to go?
Yes, you do. Yes.
Wow. All right. I tell you what we'll do. You can ask me about any market or any stock, any futures, and I'll give you my opinion. How's that? Natural gas. That's a good one, Chris. Natural gas. I've traded natural gas twice in my career. I'm the greatest natural gas trader of all time. I'm telling you that as a joke because I'm going to tell you, natural gas is contract. It's just too big for me. I don't like it. And I woke up one time with 10 contracts of it, and I swore I'd never get back in it. But as far as natural gas, I think the price is going to go higher. Bonds. I think bonds are going to be a good short. And I think that if you are one of my subscribers, you will catch the move like we did from 155, like we did going up. We played it both ways. So I trade bonds not every day, but I do trade them when they pay. Gold. Okay, Charles, I got something that's going to blow your socks on gold. Gold right now is bullish. As long as it stays above 1275, I'd be long. If it gets to 1380 and gets through 1380, it's going to 1450. Now, I heard tonight from a friend of mine that I value his opinion. He believes gold in the next 2.5 years will hit $5,000, okay? That's what he told me. The guy's been pretty good, so I'm just going to share that with you in that context, okay? But it's all bets off number if it goes below 1275, which if you think about it, it's cheap here at 1318 if all you got to risk is 30 or 40 bucks. I've been accumulating silver during this time period. Okay, Facebook. I sold Facebook at the public offering, got down to 22. I wanted to go long. I didn't. I didn't take action. That desire fizzled. I haven't been in it since. I really think Facebook is one of those stocks that probably got a pretty good enterprise value at the end of the day. And I would buy it probably October of this year because that's going to be a historic buying opportunity going into next year on Facebook. Okay, solar energy manufacturer, Canadian Solar in particular, CSIQ. Let me look at that. CSIQ, never traded it, but you got my interest, so I'm going to dial it into my compass. About 26 was at 30, 5-day low. Boy, this thing's been real volatile. It's had a 30. It's had a third. Okay. Wow. Until it gets back above 31, I'd stay out of it. Twitter, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't touch Twitter with a 10-foot pole. Now here's a stock that I would touch. Anybody familiar with that one? I'm long that stock right now. That's Slumberjay. All right. All the junior, you got to understand, when people sell, let me just say this, Brian, when people start selling like the wave of selling today, they start selling their winners along with their losers because they're trying to get capital. You understand that? That the pain gets so great they can't stay in the position, and they sell everything. So if you had something today that actually even relatively remained stable or went up, then you got something pretty good I'd hold on to. Today's a real good test day for those kind of positions. But everybody, you know, when you have a major sell-off like today, they're selling everything. I'm going to buy another Nasdaq right now. That'd be the second one I buy. I've got 2 long right now. Y'all keep talking, I might have more. Oh yeah, JB. Let me ask the question. I'm a market historian too, with my Stock Traders Almanac. I know as much as anybody looking at the Stock Traders Almanac, right? But here, let me tell you something. Do you know what day the low in the first quarter was made? Anybody know? What day of the trading month that happened? The low, the 18, I think it was 17, or ever how low we went. I think if I remember correctly, I thought it was February the 17th. Check that out, SG. I can go back and look real quick. Let me look at it real quick. Because somebody gave it to me today, and I just wanted to see. Let's just look back and see when that low was created. Yeah, I've got, it's about February 17th. It's about when it happened. Yeah, money will be flowing in, and you'll see money coming into the market. Okay, you will see that. You know, I used to. Let me tell you, when I was years ago, prior to 1987, I would hear somebody tell me after a sell-off like this that we had today, well, you ought to start looking for some longs. And I remember I used to hear this, and I said, oh, that guy's crazy. But you know what I found out over the years? That guy wasn't so crazy. He was in that 5%. Learn how to think differently as a trader. Okay? All right, let's go over 3 things you should have got out of me. How to open a Nadex account. There's a link for it. That's number 1. Number 2, you ought to get the 7-Eleven rule, and then you ought to send me an email after you watch it to open your eyes. Okay? And that's through the surveys, right? Adam posts that where they can get the surveys, and make sure they get the 7-Eleven rule. I want you to watch it at your own convenience, take notes, and send me questions if you got any, okay? Because this is going to be a smart crowd if you do that. Third and finally, if my 8100 on the NASDAQ ends up making a bunch of money, send me an email and said you noticed it. I bet not many people come on here and actually put on a live trade, do they? Okay? Any more questions about the markets? Yeah, Don, great question. If you go to our software, let me do that for you. If you go to our software, if you see the NASDAQ right here, it's at 3485. See the NASDAQ there at 3485? And can take other stocks and plug in there and watch the futures for your signal, and then just go into the QQQ. That's the way I would do it. Yeah, I will buy the E-mini above that too. Now, I'll do that. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm telling you what I'm doing. I've got a whole group of subscribers to my T-Buzz product that'll be there at 8 o'clock tonight that we're going to do some trading, take advantage of what's going on. That's what I'm doing. Joe, do you know about the 7-11 rule? Do you know about percentages of drops on a month? Do you know about key numbers? Do you know about time zones? Do you know about tape reading? Do you know about experience? Yeah, what happens, Joe, is that chart readers look at charts and they get convinced that the market's going to go down forever, and they get short. And the reason the 7-11 rule works so well, they accumulate all these shorts in the market. If you go back and look at it, now think about this. Let's go back and look at let's look at the NASDAQ. Let me just tell you how the thinking is, okay? This is the NASDAQ, right? All right. See this low that was created there at 3470, Joe? See that low, 3470? Can you see it on the chart? Let me draw a circle around. See that low? Right here. That low that was created at 3470. People got short from this time. That was about 1:30 this afternoon. So since 1:30 this afternoon, they got short the index, okay? And what happens is they stay short. They got hope, right? They got hope. And when the market comes up 11 points, the longer it stays off that low, it creates a short covering rally that makes it rocket. And I'm playing the rocket. I'm a rocket rider, okay? And that's what I'm playing. If I'm right, then I get paid handsomely with very little risk. Because those shorts will cover when that happens. They'll see the Nikkei down, but they won't look at the opening, okay? Okay, I don't get your question, Kabir. If it went against me, Kabir, it's quite simple. How much do I risk per trade? I thought we covered that. $300. So if I'm wrong, I'm going to lose $300. That's how you handle the fear. That's a great question that Kabir asked, and it gave me a chance to show you about $300. Yeah, $300 a car, JB. $300 a car. You've been doing this for a while. They don't refer to it as cars anymore, but I do. Okay, that's a great question. There's 3 targets. Target 1 is $300. Target 2 is $600, and target 3 is $900. Yeah, JB. Unfortunately, I guess they say, here's a trader. No, but you understand what I'm saying. $300 is 15 points. $600 is 30 points, and 45 points is $900 on the NASDAQ. It's that simple. See, I think people overcomplicate trading. I did. How many people like my simple approach? And I know, do I have any of my, just out of chance, do I have any of my customers in here? I'm just curious. Anybody ever heard me before? JB, one of my customers? Okay. Paul, one of my customers? This is pretty much the way I do it. Steve Grad. Okay, I know Steve Grad. Steve, tell him about the money you made with me today. Steve was with me early this morning in my early bird. By the way, did you know that our quick and green, baby? Okay, look at this. Let's go look at the NASDAQ. What price did I tell you I bought the NASDAQ? Steve, did you buy the NASDAQ when I said I was buying it? Look for Steve's answer. I'm just going to ask him. Did he buy it? You didn't buy it this afternoon? Chris, you bought it? Okay. What price is it at right now, the NASDAQ? It's 34.83 right now, 84. Okay? So if you bought a couple contracts, you got paid for listening to me talk. Right? Oh, James, that was the first time you came to my room and you bought it twice this morning? You made money, didn't you? You send me an email? All right, let me summarize, folks. It was fun, and I know it was unorthodox, the presentation I gave, but I hope you got something out of it. Fill out the survey. Make sure you get the 7-11 rules. Send me questions. I'll be glad to have one of my coaches answer you. Come Sunday night. Sign up if you want to come watch me Sunday night deliver next week's plan. I'll tell you about T-Buzz then. I hope you learned something. Remember, every webinar you listen to, say to yourself, what can I take out of this webinar? Don't let any of these other moderators claim my 7-11 rule because no one had it, but you'll start seeing people talk about it because it's so good. Everybody have a good night. Yana, I'm done. I can't talk anymore. Give it a break. Let him get some water.
Thank you, Tom. We really appreciate it, and I will let the timer run out for our next presenter, but we do thank you for a different, unorthodox approach, as you said, more of an old-timer, but I know sometimes those lessons are the most valuable, so we appreciate your time and education. And yes, guys, we're going to take a short break, about 2 minutes, until the timer runs out. And I did want to say that I did share in the announcement area that link to the Omnovia event. So if you guys want to register, definitely use it. Corey, next we have Kai Whitney from Global Trade Room. He'll come on in about 2 minutes. Here's a link to the remaining schedule.
Testing, testing. Yes, Yana. I can come on in just a minute. I'm ready to go.
Great, we can hear you. So yeah, in just about 30 seconds. Thank you, Kai. Well, you guys have been a wonderful crowd tonight. I really appreciate everyone's awesome patience and attention to the presenters' topics that they've shared with us so far. So thank you. Very happy to have Kai come back and present at the Trading Pub. He's done that a few times, and I remember once I was moderating an event and someone said, "Is Kai Whitney presenting today?" And I had to disappoint them and tell them that Kai wasn't, but luckily today he is. He's a trader with a huge experience, and he's going to talk about Nadex and the global trade room approach to using that market and the partnership they have. So, Kai, the room is yours.
Okay, hey, I was actually thinking of talking about my 7-Eleven rule, starting off with that.
That would be fun too.
No, it was great to follow the Southern gentleman, Tom. Excellent. I will address questions. Let me get through part of the presentation. And Yana, thank you very much. Yes, Morgan did a great job in pairing us back to back with myself and Tom. What a stacked day it was. Nice bench of lots of different professionals, lots of different markets, etc. as promised. And it took almost all afternoon for someone to actually talk about the 5%. The 5% of the way that success rate. So I am, Tom did a great little teaching on the Nadex, and it, I won't have to parlay that, or I'll just parlay it. I won't continue in depth on that, but I will do is I liked a lot of his concepts, and I talk about one of the things I discuss is know yourself, know your competition, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. And you just heard a lot of this stuff from Tom already, so I'm repeating. He's been around since I guess he said 87. I'm a little younger than that. I won't age myself just yet, but it's very important to understand that check, 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 sound check. Check, 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 sound check. Okay, I'm coming through. You bet. The beautiful thing about this business is once you figure it out, it really doesn't change on you. And because the more that it does change, the more it reverts back to the basics. And the basics are what Tom talked about: tape reading and order flow, or order flow analysis. And nothing has changed. Nothing has changed from the, Jesse Livermore, in that it's the large money that moves the markets.